The worst, Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, older 2019-2021 models, right? Let's kick this off with something that might surprise a few of you, because the RAV4 is one of Toyota's best sellers, and yet, the older hybrid versions have some real problems that don't get talked about enough. Now look, if you're over 40, you've probably had a car or two that looked great on paper but turned out to be a headache. And for a lot of buyers in the UK, the 2019 to 2021 RAV4 Hybrid was exactly that. First thing, the CVT gearbox. Now this is a continuously variable transmission, and on the RAV4, it has this awful droning noise when you put your foot down. You're on a motorway. You need to overtake, and suddenly the engine sounds like a vacuum cleaner stuck on full power. It's not dangerous, but after 40 minutes on the M6, it will absolutely do your head in. Then there's the interior quality. For a car that was sitting around $35,000 to $40,000 at the time, the plastics inside felt genuinely cheap. Hard, scratchy surfaces, a touchscreen that was slow to respond, and a sat-nav system that felt like it was designed sometime around 2015. Buyers who were coming from a BMW or a Mercedes, or even a Mazda, noticed immediately. The boot space is decent enough, 580 liters with the seats up, but the loading lip is high. If you've got a bad back, and let's be honest, a lot of us do by now, hauling heavy bags in and out becomes a real chore over time. And then there's fuel economy. Yes, it's a hybrid, so you'd expect it to sip fuel, and around town it does reasonably well. But on longer motorway runs, the 40 to 44 mpg you actually get in real life is nowhere near the official figures Toyota was advertising. People felt misled, and that disappointment stays with you. The ADAS systems, that's the automatic emergency braking and lane assist, were also quite aggressive and poorly calibrated on these early models. The lane keeping would jerk the wheel at unexpected moments, and the emergency braking would sometimes trigger for no clear reason on country roads with hedges close to the road. That kind of thing shakes your confidence in a car. Now, Toyota fixed a lot of this in the 2023 facelift. Genuinely they did. But if you're looking at used RAV4 hybrids from those years, just be aware of what you're buying into. Top 2. The worst. Toyota Hilux. Stay with me here, because the Hilux has an absolutely legendary reputation. Indestructible, dependable, the thing they drive in war zones. You know the ones. But as an SUV, as a family vehicle for life in the UK in 2026, it really struggles. And here's why. For most people watching this, you're probably thinking about a car that works for your lifestyle. Maybe you've got grandkids. Maybe you do a long commute. Maybe you want something comfortable for a weekend away in the Lake District or the Scottish Highlands. The Hilux, as brilliant as it is for what it was designed for, just wasn't built for that. The ride quality is genuinely poor on tarmac roads. It's built on a truck chassis, which means it bounces and jiggles over road imperfections in a way that a proper SUV never would. On a smooth motorway, it's tolerable, but on the kind of B roads we actually drive every day in the UK, it gets old quickly. The fuel economy is another big problem. The 2.8-liter diesel returns around 29 to 33 mpg in real-world driving. For a vehicle at this price point, sitting at around $40,000 to $50,000 new, that's genuinely hard to justify when modern diesel SUVs from Hyundai or even Toyota's own range do significantly better. The cab-forward design means visibility isn't great, especially reversing, and the long bonnet takes some getting used to in car parks. Cabin noise is also noticeable. Road noise and wind noise above 60 mph is louder than you'd expect, and over a 2-hour drive, it adds up. Now, if you have a farm, or you tow heavy loads regularly, or you run a business that needs a proper workhorse, the Hilux makes perfect sense. But as a daily driver for someone in their 40s, 50s, or 60s looking for a comfortable and practical SUV in 2026, it's simply not the right tool for the job. And at that price, there are much better choices. Top 3. The worst. Toyota bZ4X. Now this one stings a little, because the bZ4X is Toyota's big electric SUV push, and it's trying to compete with the likes of the Kia EV6, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and the Volkswagen ID4. And honestly, it doesn't quite get there. Not yet. Let's start with the charging speed. In 2026, most of the serious competition charges at 150 to 800 kilowatts on a rapid charger. The bZ4X charges at a maximum of $150 kilowatts on DC rapid charging. That's not terrible, but it's not leading the class either. And given Toyota's reputation for engineering excellence, it feels like they played it safe when they should have pushed harder. The real-world range of around 250 to 280 miles on a full charge is reasonable, but it does drop noticeably in cold weather, which, let's be honest, in the UK, is about 9 months of the year. Winter motorway driving will have you watching that range estimate with a bit of anxiety. The interior is a divisive one. Toyota went for this very driver-focused cockpit design, with a low seating position and a heavily angled dashboard. For some people that feels sporty and modern. For others, especially if you've got any knee or hip issues, getting in and out comfortably is less straightforward than rivals. The infotainment system has improved, but it still doesn't feel as intuitive as what you get from a Hyundai or a Tesla. And the steering wheel controls are a bit confusing at first, with buttons that do different things depending on how you press them. Residual values have also been a concern. The bZ4X hasn't held its value as well as Toyota might have hoped, which matters if you're planning to sell or change in 3 to 5 years. And then there's the recall situation from 2022, where Toyota had to recall bZ4X models over wheel hubs potentially coming loose. They fixed it, but that kind of headline sticks in people's memories. Look, it's not a bad car by any means, and if you're specifically committed to going electric and brand loyalty matters to you, it's worth a test drive. But compared to what else is available in the same segment and price range, it's the weakest of Toyota's current SUV lineup right now. Top 4. The best. Toyota Land Cruiser 300 Series. Right. Now we get to the good stuff. And where better to start than the car that has almost mythical status in the four-wheel drive world. The Land Cruiser 300 Series is simply one of the best large SUVs you can buy in the UK in 2026. Full stop. And here's the thing. It earns that title in a completely different way to the flashy German alternatives. It's not trying to impress you at a dinner party. It's not full of gimmicks. What it is a vehicle engineered to a standard of long-term reliability and genuine off-road capability that almost nothing else in this price bracket can match. Let's talk engine first. The twin-turbocharged 3.3-liter diesel V6 puts out 227 horsepower and 700 newton-meters of torque. That's a significant amount of pulling power, and you feel it the moment you need it. Overtaking on a dual carriageway with a full load of passengers, towing a trailer, or crawling up a muddy track in Wales. This engine handles it all with a kind of calm authority that takes years of engineering to achieve. The interior in the higher spec models, particularly the VX, is genuinely luxurious. You get heated and ventilated front seats, a panoramic sunroof, a 12.3-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a JBL sound system that's actually worth turning up. For the 40-plus buyer who wants proper comfort without the fragility of some European luxury brands, this delivers. The third-row seating is usable for adults, not just children, which is genuinely rare in this class. If you've got a big family, or you regularly take people out for long drives, that matters. Off-road capability is in a class of its own among family SUVs. The Kinetic Dynamic Suspension System actively adjusts between wheels to maintain traction, and the Multi-Terrain Select System lets you choose between mud and sand, rock and dirt, and deep snow modes. Not that most UK buyers will ever use all of that, but knowing it's there is quietly reassuring. And then there's reliability. Toyota's data on the Land Cruiser's long-term dependability is extraordinary. These are cars that regularly do 300,000 miles with proper servicing. For a buyer in their 40s or 50s who keeps their vehicles for a long time, who doesn't want to be visiting a dealership every few months with warning lights, that peace of mind has real value. The price, starting around $75,000 to $90,000 depending on spec, is significant. But these hold their value better than almost anything else in the market. The waiting lists have also eased slightly in 2026, though the best specs still take time to source. If budget allows, and you want one vehicle that does everything brilliantly for the next 15 years, the Land Cruiser 300 is the one. Top 5, the best. Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid, 2023 onwards. Now, after we gave the older RAV4 a bit of a beating earlier, it's only fair that we talk about how much Toyota turned things around with the updated plug-in hybrid version. Because this is genuinely a very different proposition. The RAV4 PHEV, which stands for plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, pairs a 2.5-liter petrol engine with a large electric motor, giving you a combined output of 306 horsepower. That's properly quick for a family SUV. 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds, which on a UK roundabout at 7 a.m. is more than enough. The electric-only range of around 46 miles is the game changer for a lot of people watching this. Think about your daily routine. If you're retired or semi-retired, or you work locally, there's a real chance you could do your entire week of driving on electricity alone. Charge it overnight, and you're good to go. The petrol engine only kicks in for longer trips or when you've used the battery up. For real-world UK usage, if you're plugging in regularly, owners are reporting effective fuel economy well above 50 mmHg, and many are managing over 100 mph on their personal driving patterns. That's a significant saving, especially with fuel prices where they've been. Toyota also addressed the interior quality complaints from the older models. The 2023 update brought a better touchscreen, improved materials, and a more refined overall feel. It's not Mercedes money, but it no longer feels like it's punching below its weight. The boot has also been slightly redesigned to accommodate the battery pack while still giving you a usable 520 liters. Not quite as much as the standard hybrid, but still very practical for weekly supermarket runs, a couple of golf bags, or a weekend's worth of luggage. All-wheel drive comes as standard on the PHEV, thanks to the rear electric motor working independently of the front. It's not the Land Cruiser in a field, but it handles winter roads, gravel tracks, and light off-road situations with genuine confidence. Safety Kit is now comprehensive and better calibrated than those early ADAS systems we mentioned. Pre-collision warning, lane trace assist, automatic high beam, radar cruise control. It's all there, and it works properly now, starting at around $48,000 to $55,000 depending on spec. It sits at a sensible point in the market. You're not paying flagship money, but you're getting a vehicle that covers almost everything the modern UK buyer needs, with low running costs built in. For anyone who's on the fence about going fully electric, the RAV4 PHEV is the perfect halfway house. You get the fuel savings and low emissions of electric driving, with zero range anxiety because the petrol engine is always there as a backup. Top 6. The best. Toyota CHR Hybrid. Now here's one that often gets overlooked in these conversations, and that's a shame, because the CHR Hybrid is one of the sharpest looking and most genuinely enjoyable SUVs Toyota makes. In a segment full of sensible but boring crossovers, the CHR stands out. The coupe-like roofline, the hidden rear door handles, the sculpted bodywork. It genuinely turns heads in a way that most family SUVs simply don't. And for buyers who still care about how their car looks, who want something with a bit of personality without going into sports car territory, that matters. The 2024 refresh brought a significant update to the powertrain. The new 2.0-liter self-charging hybrid system is smooth, refined, and delivers real-world fuel economy of around 50 to 55 mpg in mixed driving. For a daily commuter or someone doing regular longer journeys, that adds up to a meaningful saving at the pump over a year. The ride quality is genuinely impressive. Toyota tuned the suspension specifically for European roads with this generation, and the result is a car that feels planted and comfortable without being wallowy. It absorbs bumps well. It corners with more confidence than you'd expect from a compact SUV, and the steering has a nice directness to it that makes longer drives enjoyable. Inside, the 2024 CHR moved on considerably. You now get a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and a central touchscreen of the same size, standard wireless phone charging, and significantly better soft touch materials throughout. The driving position is good, and visibility forwards is fine, though the sloping roofline does reduce rearward visibility, which is why a reversing camera is essentially a necessity, and it does come as standard on higher trim levels. Boot space at 388 liters is on the smaller side for the class, and if you regularly carry large amounts of luggage or have a very active lifestyle with lots of kit, it might feel limiting. But for 2 people, or a small family with older kids, it's perfectly manageable. Where the CHR really shines is as an everyday car. It's easy to park, economical to run, comfortable on the school run and the motorway alike, and it looks genuinely distinctive on the road. It starts at around $33,000 to $38,000, which puts it in a competitive position against the likes of the Kia Sportage and the Hyundai Tucson. For buyers who want a car that's practical, efficient, and actually has some character, the CHR Hybrid is an easy recommendation. Top 7, the best, Toyota Yaris Cross. And we finish on this one, and I know some of you might be thinking, the Yaris Cross, really? But hear me out. Because for a specific type of buyer, this little SUV is close to perfect. If you're in your 50s or 60s, your kids have grown up and left home, you don't need a 7-seater or a vast boot anymore, but you still want an SUV because you like the higher driving position, the ease of getting in and out, and the sense of space around you. The Yaris Cross was practically designed for you. It's compact on the outside, which means parking in tight supermarket car parks or narrow village streets is genuinely easy. But inside, it feels surprisingly roomy. Toyota has used the space very cleverly, and the upright seating position means visibility all around is excellent, which matters more than many people admit. The hybrid system is brilliant for this kind of use. The 1.5-liter 3-cylinder petrol engine paired with electric motors is ultra-smooth, quiet, and returns genuine real-world fuel economy in the mid-50s to low 60s mpg. If you're doing mostly shorter trips, errands, visiting family, the occasional day out, this thing is astonishingly cheap to run. Toyota's safety systems on the Yaris Cross are exactly what you'd want. The Toyota Safety Sense package includes pre-collision braking, adaptive cruise control, lane departure alert, and a speed sign recognition system. These aren't optional extras, they're standard, and they work well, without being the nervous oversensitive systems we saw on early hybrid models. The interior quality punches above the car's price point. Soft touch surfaces in key areas, a clean and easy to understand infotainment layout, physical buttons for the climate control rather than buried touchscreen menus. These might seem like small things, but when you're actually living with a car every day, they make a real difference. AWD-E is available on the Yaris Cross, which uses a rear electric motor to add traction at the back without a traditional mechanical drive shaft. It's not for serious off-roading, but it makes a genuine difference in wet conditions, on gravel, and on snowy roads. For those of you in rural areas or the north of England and Scotland, that's a useful option to have. The price is arguably the best part, starting at around $27,000 to $32,000 depending on spec and drivetrain. It represents genuinely strong value for what you're getting. Running costs are low, Toyota's reliability record speaks for itself, and residual values are among the best in the class. Is it exciting? No. Is it fast? Definitely not. But is it a brilliant car for the life a lot of people actually live in the UK in 2026? Yes. Absolutely, yes. Sometimes the right car is the one that gets everything quietly and reliably right, rather than making a big noise about a couple of things. And for that, the Yaris Cross earns its place at the top of this list.